Hi, this is Nanette Hosenfeld with the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Wednesday, July 29th, 2020. Looking at fire potential impacts over the next few days, we are looking at some very hot and dry weather through this weekend. The heat will build from the southwest to the northeast through this weekend. Today, before that really dry air overtakes the Great Basin, we will see some scattered showers and wet thunderstorms across central Idaho, western Wyoming, and the Uinta Mountains in Utah. And as we move into Thursday and continue to see that drying, those isolated storms will be mainly confined to central northeastern Idaho. Over the past 24 hours, there's quite a bit of precipitation that fell across the northern part of the Great Basin. You can see some pretty good storm totals with stronger thunderstorms across Idaho and Utah. There was also a lot of lightning that accompanied these storms, as you can see from the map on the right. Pretty light initial attack yesterday, not too many new fires. If we look at precipitation and how it compares to normal, the image on the left really illustrates how the past week has been much wetter than we had previously been across the area. You can see southeastern Utah and the southern part of the Great Basin is well above normal, and that had not been the case for quite some time across the area. And even parts of southwestern Idaho and northern Nevada, with the stronger thunderstorms we've seen over the past week and a half, have brought up our precipitation amounts. Looking back at the 14-day period, you can see it was much drier before the past week. So we really have seen an increase of moisture as that monsoon has begun to show up. ERCs have really plummeted across the southeastern part of the Great Basin. You can see southeastern Utah mostly below the 50th percentile, and that's the case as well moving further to the north. Idaho has gone back down into the 50th to 70th percentile. Really the only remaining portion of the Great Basin that's above the 70th percentile is portions of western Utah and southeastern Nevada. If we look at those ERCs more closely, GB3 in Idaho, you can see has been trying to get up to normal. Hasn't quite made it there this season. ERCs are starting to climb there again, and with the heat over the next few days, we are expecting to see ERCs return to normal pretty quickly across much of the area. Looking at GB32 in southeastern Utah, there's a pretty dramatic dip in ERCs from being above record levels to now being below normal. So a pretty dramatic drop in southeastern Utah with that monsoonal moisture onset. 10-hour field moistures have also responded to the recent weather. You can see some pretty moist fuels across eastern Utah, southeastern Utah, as well as across eastern Idaho and western Wyoming. The driest area of the Great Basin continues to be southern and southwestern Nevada. Sagebrush moisture is continuing to decrease across the Great Basin. The lower two graphs on here are showing sagebrush below 100%, which will contribute to some extreme fire behavior. Further north in Idaho, you can see we're getting closer to that 120% threshold where sagebrush starts to contribute to fire spread. The satellite this morning shows high pressure in place across the Great Basin, and that will continue to expand through the week, bringing increasing temperatures. For today, again, you can see that dry air in place across the Great Basin with a high pressure system. Some of our PSAs are in the green category with the recent wet weather that we have seen. Looking at today in more detail, you can see really dry conditions expected across the southwestern part of the Great Basin. Quite a few areas looking at single-digit relative humidities this afternoon. The image on the right is showing our expected precipitation, and we're expecting mostly isolated storms. We could see some scattered storms across further northern portions of the Great Basin. Moving into Thursday, that dry air continues to spread into the Great Basin. We're looking at another day of really dry relative humidities. Those RH values will continue to drop into Thursday. Looking at precipitation, which is the map on the right, it will be very very isolated tomorrow and mainly confined to the central Idaho mountains. Maximum temperatures will continue to rise. On Thursday, we're looking at a good portion of the Great Basin with forecast temperatures around 100 degrees, and looking further south in southern Nevada, some pretty impressive high temperatures there. As we move into Friday, we're continuing to see the building of that high pressure system across the area. That will lead to increasing temperatures with, again, really hot temperatures expected across the entire area by Friday. The image on the right, you can see 122 expected in Death Valley, quite hot. And even further north, up into Idaho, we're looking at 105 degrees. So really hot across the entire area on Friday. And it's no surprise that with those temperatures, we will see very low relative humidities. Over the next 3 days, it's really looking dry across the area. Moving into Saturday, not too much change in the pattern, still looking at that dry air in place. And with that dry air, much of our PSAs moving into the yellow and brown categories. As we move into Sunday, again, really similar setup, high pressure in place. Models are starting to suggest that a low pressure system will begin to make its way into the western U.S., and that could lead to an increase of winds across the area starting Sunday. And going into Monday, still keeping really dry air in place across the Great Basin. With that low pressure system beginning to move into the Pacific Northwest, we could continue to see winds elevate across the area on Monday. And then moving into Tuesday, again, really dry, not really any precipitation expected, but we could still see some elevated winds with that system moving by to the north. In the 7-day period, it's really dry. The only precipitation on the map is what we are going to see in the next few days here across the Great Basin. In the 8 to 14-day period, it's not looking like we'll get much moisture. The Climate Prediction Center is calling for below normal for the entire Great Basin, and notably across the Four Corners area, where typically this time of year we would see a monsoonal pattern setting up. So the Climate Prediction Center is forecasting drier conditions moving into the beginning of August and above normal temperatures for much of the area. That's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. Our information is on the screen, and you can also find us on Twitter. Thanks.